Views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the station, its management, or advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
You are listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin. To master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Once you walked in a forest of splendor in which everything you did and everything you thought was aligned. It is possible at this time to begin to return to the old knowledge. Intuitive healer and manifester Julia Griffin is here to talk about this unique time in history when all sentient beings, animals, plants, trees, and the earth are intent on creating this change. The wolves awakened her to the most incredible light, which opened gifts and brought knowledge that she longs to share. You are creators, and you are born to be creators of beauty, possibility, and joy. Join Julia on a journey into a beautiful and magical world where amazing possibilities exist. Let us help open the door. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening with Julia Griffin starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin at OneTrueSelf.com, ONETrueSelf.com, and you're listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio, where you can experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. Today, we're talking with Jennifer Hoffman at EnlighteninGLife.com. We have some really interesting topics for you. We're going to talk about the energy, what's going on in the world, spiritual life, soul contracts, tons of information that you can use. So let me tell you about Jennifer. Jennifer Hoffman is recognized as the world's most accurate intuitive mystic, a leading voice in spiritual awareness movement, and an expert in energy congruence, vibration, resonance, alignment, and intention. She is also a top-selling author, popular radio host, business and life transformation catalyst, and spiritual teacher. Since 2004, she has published the weekly Enlightening Life newsletter with more than 4 million readers, which is the Internet's oldest and most widely read publication. Jennifer provides life intuition, spiritual wisdom, and business savvy to a client base that includes celebrities, business and industry leaders, professionals, and other clients from more than 75 countries. Her website is EnlighteninGLife.com. So welcome, Jennifer. I'm so glad to have you here.
Hi, Julia. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And we've known each other for a very long time.
Yes, we're friends and colleagues. So if any of you wonder about the depth of our questions, it's because we talk about these things all the time. So let's start by thinking about how would you characterize this time, certainly a time of change. And what do you think is going to happen in the future from this chaotic time?
This time is what I've written about for a long time, at least for the last 2 years. It's about the disintegration. So think of if integrated being together, disintegrate being coming apart. And we are moving into an integrated 3D, 5D model. As I always say, it's an integration, not a takeover. So initially, 3D was a closed system, and as more light, more energy, more high frequency energies came in, the 3D paradigm starts to come apart, starts to disintegrate. So we couldn't really see all of the things that are here, all the domination, the control, the power over, which are all parts of 3D, because we were in it. You know, it's like Wayne Dyer is known for saying, no, you can't see your nose. I mean, you really can't. It's funny that, you know, the one part of yourself that you literally cannot see is your head. You know, you can't see your face. So we had this vision of ascension as being, you know, light and fairy tales and fairy dust and cotton candy and all this, you know, this graceful, easy, you know, kind of journey into this higher frequency. And it's like a birth. Well, for anyone who's given birth, it's messy, it's painful, it's hard, it's very, very difficult and challenging. You think, how in the heck am I going to get through this? So what we're seeing literally is the disintegration of 3D at the same time as we are moving into the 5D paradigm. And I think this is one of the hardest points because, to coin a phrase, everyone is waking up. And they're waking up to see what's going on around them, the truth of their reality, the truth of themselves, how they've limited themselves, how they've not allowed themselves to expand into their own energy. And it's tough. But what we're moving into is greater connection, greater community. And, I've always said September is kind of the turning point for all of this, and I stand behind it. And I think what we're going to see is a rebalancing and a reintegrating of different kinds of energies to make the world a more, I want to use the word spiritual place because everyone will understand what that means, but to make a world that truly does represent the spirit-human paradigm that we are moving into as well with this 3D, 5D integration.
So let me recap for a moment. The disintegration is occurring because of our group awakening, and probably anyone who's on the spiritual path has had this. As you awaken, the things in your environment that don't align with you well start to fall apart or become very painful or in your face. So that's one part of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then,
that's the hard part.
The next part, the very hard part, because you're giving up things that you were attached to or that really don't fit, but you thought they did. Then the second part of that is when you realize you just can't go on in that same old way, you start to emanate and align with higher vibrations. So that would be the second part of what we're going through. Is that correct?
Exactly. And I want to let everybody know in case they're thinking, oh no, what do I do? The higher vibrations are there. It's literally turning around and changing, facing a different direction. So 1 minute you're facing 3D, the next minute you go, oh, wait a minute, I'm awake. Oh, look, there's the light. It's right over here. And just literally turning around so that you now face the light. So the energy to support your awakening is there. I don't want people to think, oh, no, I have to do this all over again. No, the light, the energy is there.
And it is a higher frequency, but this explains why people will get into a slump and suddenly feel like they're tired all the time, or life is heavy, or they can't make themselves do things. It's because they've gotten down in the lower 3D. But as you said, if you just start to change your focus, and I would also add for people, it does help to be positive. Like to say, instead of I can't see my friends, I got to talk to one of my friends today and it was wonderful. Or I had extra time to exercise and that was great. When you can reframe it, you're more open to those energies, or at least I feel that way. What's your thought about it?
I agree. It's the reframing part that's important. So, and I wrote an article a few months ago about reframing your reality. So not looking at it in terms of, oh no, 3D is dead. Look, all my friends have gone. My family no longer talks to me. What's going on? To see that as part of this disintegration, it's like those relationships fall away. In that moment, it doesn't mean they can't also awaken and they can't also change and join you on that new path. You just have to let that die. That has to go so that a new paradigm can be integrated within your reality. It's like what happens when a train, like when a train switches track. It didn't just hop over the next track. There's a switching station, and they actually switch the track before the train arrives, and then the train seamlessly goes into that new track. So you need to see, and the process can be relatively seamless. There's usually several bumps in the road, but if you can think about how a train switches tracks, that's this. I'm on the 3D track. Oh, look, there's 5D. I'm going to go on the 5D track now.
Right. And as we were saying, the mood, how you feel, what you're perceiving, those are all really great hints as to the placement of your consciousness. So I'm really curious about what you think is going to happen with COVID. And do you think it will continue? Do you think the virus is altered? What are your thoughts as a psychic about that?
Okay, so I feel that there were multiple strains. We got one of the weaker ones, and the stronger and more destructive one was prevented from coming here in January. Will it continue? Will the fear-mongering and the scaring and the masks and the lockdowns? No. I think those are over, I want to say by October, mainly because so many people are again, waking up to that. They're questioning things. They are no longer accepting the narrative. I think it was part of the awakening. It was truly something that could have been quite deadly, but what is happening with like all the lockdowns and the chaos and the control, like we're seeing in Victoria, Australia, to give an extreme example, or New Zealand, is this is the 3D paradigm. This is where they have to show us what full 3D is. So this is why 3D looks so bad, because it is. It's a paradigm of domination, control, power over, and competition. That's 3D. So we are seeing the full force of 3D. And not only that, but since we have the internet and we are all connected in real time, we don't have to rely on newspapers and news stories on television to tell us what to do. We can see it right there. People who are there going, look, I'm locked in my apartment. Look what's happening. And they can literally feed it live to us on social media. So there is a connection that is being born and literally a choice that is being made. You either want this total control and domination, or you want to be over here in the 5D paradigm, which is community, connection, creativity, collaboration. And this is forcing people to choose. It's forcing them, number one, to see what the 3D paradigm is really about, as ugly and chaotic as it can be, or you have a choice, and you have to make your choice. And everybody's having to make their choice right now. So will the scare-mongering continue? I think it'll crop up here and there, but I just think people don't believe it anymore.
Good. That's a wonderful way to look at it. And I'm going to remind everyone that when you're in 5D and a higher vibration, it is much easier to heal and to improve your immune system. We've been talking with my guest, Jennifer Hoffman, about the current energies in the world. We've talked about COVID, 3D, 5D, awakening, and all the things that are going on right now, how to have a better attitude, how to see life differently, and what you can do. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about this, as well as soul contracts and how to create a happier, more aligned life. So let's go to break now.
Yeah, yippee skippy to that, baby. We're not done yet. Some of us are out here to educate and inspire. This year, 2020, is the year we gotta show me the money in the cash flow. I'm Dr. Pat. This is the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By.
Visit thedrpatshow.com.
Hello, I'm Carrie Kadambi, and this is your Spirited Exchange moment. Do you want to be the best you can be? Do you want to live your dream life? Anything is possible when you choose to consciously evolve. Begin by noticing your reaction to things in your everyday life. When a reaction is uncomfortable, this is a sign that there's an inner root cause that has triggered you, and it's calling out to be healed. Take action to transform and heal those limiting beliefs or trauma experiences that no longer serve you. Take time daily to recognize your reactions, and then set out to heal and release them using one of many somatic healing modalities available. How will you choose to evolve today? Join me on Transformation Talk Radio for my show, A Spirited Exchange. For more information about me, visit thedivineguidancegift.com.
Are you your story? Or can you change your story? Can you change what you believe to be true about yourself and your circumstances as part of your healing journey? What if you were to change your expectations? What if you were to invite ease and cooperation into every day and then step back and see what happens? it might just be easier. I'm Megan Edge, and I hope that you'll join me on my new radio show, Playing on the Edge, Radical Change with Ease, with my co-host Dr. Pat on Transformation Talk Radio. I look forward to seeing you there.
Want to find out more about Megan Edge? Visit her website at meganedge.ca.
I have had such a good time on Tales from the Merworld Radio. It has been an opportunity for me to expand myself so dramatically and become much braver in my voice, to speak about the things that I'm passionate about that are a little bit out there. Your staff is amazing. Olivia is amazing. Jessica, everybody. Anytime I need anything, they show up right away. So thank you for having such an amazing team that is allowing me this platform to do what Spirit wants me to do.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin at OneTrueSelf.com, ONETrueSelf.com, and you're listening to The Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio, where you can experience a higher vibration in a new state of mind. We're talking with Jennifer Hoffman at EnlighteningLife.com about soul contracts, about the energies that we're working with right now, and we're going to talk about how we can alter our behavior and make the energy work for us. So let me just skip to Jennifer and let's get started. So tell us how to alter our behavior for better alignment with the energy. And what do you tell people who have a lot of fear or anger?
So making the energy work for us, first of all, means seeing the full spectrum of what's going on. And that includes, considering things like timelines and multiple versions of awakening or multiple versions of the ascension cycle, so that we aren't just, this isn't just happening and, oh no, this has never happened before, and how terrible it is, but more looking at it from a wider perspective of what exactly is going on for the collective. So when we realize that this is happening to us, but it's also happening to everyone, and each one of us that embraces the changes and allows more light, more 5D energy into our lives also creates that potential for everybody else. And if you're afraid, and some of these things are scary, if you're afraid or you're angry, you're not only limiting your ability to shift the energy, but you're also limiting your ability to embrace any new energy. So a lot of our fear is about what has happened to us before in this kind of situation, whether that's Atlantis or Lemuria or Pangea or other lifetimes where you've experienced some kind of great social upheaval, and you kind of pull back to, oh no, this happened and it was terrible and it was horrible for me. I'm gonna pull that memory and make that my current reality, as opposed to, I have experienced this before, but I know so much more today, so I can shift what other timeline do I want to be on. And this is where intention becomes so important, because as I teach it, intention creates an energy container. It's almost like you would, if I want a glass of water, I'll go get a glass and I'll put water in the glass. So when you go to the universe and you say, I intend, you literally hand your glass over to the universe. You go, okay, here's my intention, here's what I want, fill it up with energy. So by staying true to your intention, by understanding your own energy boundaries and your own energy field, and keeping that aligned with what you want in your life, yes, chaos can be going on all around you, but it's not going to impact you as much. It's important to stay out of the fear, because once we get into the fear, we just continue to literally descend down the fear spiral, and it's really hard to get out of that.
So shifting your timeline, not everyone is going to know what that means. Can you give a little more insight on that? To me, that means I can feel that things are going in a different direction. And if I shift my energy and I see it and feel it differently and continue to call in spiritual energy, I can make that shift or make that change.
Mm-hmm. So the timeline, say that you have a timeline between the past and the present, and I'll give you a little example. The worst customer service I ever got at any restaurant in my entire life was at a Ruby Tuesday. So I'm on the timeline of that timeline. Every time I see a Ruby Tuesday, I go, oh, look, Ruby Tuesday. I got the absolute worst customer service I've ever had in a restaurant at that restaurant. That happened 30 years ago. I have never been in a Ruby Tuesday since. They probably have great customer service now, but the timeline I'm on says that that restaurant has terrible customer service. So when I look at that, that's what I think about. So being on a timeline means when you look at a situation or you're faced with a situation, you automatically go back to the timeline, which is the past, and go, oh, that always happens when, in this situation, this is always the outcome, rather than, oh, here's a situation. I wonder if I can create a different outcome.
Right. So not this time, and it's because we know more and we're more spiritual. So what are a few easy ways to go into a deeper spiritual level?
First of all, setting intention. So realizing your reality is either created through karmic, through the past, through karma, or it's created by intention. Right now we have the opportunity and the choice to create through intention. So intention is literally saying, I intend to. Not I wish, because a wish is like shh, but I intend to have a fabulous life. I intend to have wonderful relationships. I intend to have a great job, or to be happy in my life, or to have joy in my life in every moment. So that sets an energy field around you that the universe has to fulfill. When you say I intend and you set an intention and you start pulling energy towards your intention, the universe has to fulfill your intention. So we don't realize that we command the energy. The energy doesn't create without randomly. It waits for us. So if we do nothing, then the energy just sits there. So we have to use the power and the control that we have with our intention to start living through our intention.
That's perfectly said. Thank you for that. You were talking about karma and the way energy repeats, so that leads us to soul contracts.
Ooh.
Yes, we've talked about how they're changing, and so why don't you give us some information on that?
Okay, so a soul contract binds you energetically and spiritually to someone. A soul contract is where you make a promise that says, okay, I'll take care of you, or I'll never leave you, or I'll fix this for you, or I caused you harm, so I'll come back and make it better, or I'll change you, I'll bring you to the light, I'll make sure that you understand what it is to be in the light. And so now we're stuck in this cycle with different people in our lives. And the closer someone is, the stronger your karma is with them, and the more profound your soul contract, and the deeper it goes, and the longer it's been around. So who's the closest person to you in your life? It's your mother. Your mother is your strongest karmic partner. So you have the strongest soul contract with your mother, with your family, which, people think that families are exempt from soul contracts. They're not. They're right in the middle of the soul contracts. They are your soul contracts. So these are changing now because, number one, we're coming off of those timelines. So we're realizing, okay, we can either continue to go around this circle from the past and keep on repeating these things, or realizing that it's not our job to change other people, that we can offer them the light and they can say yes or no, and if they say no, then that's okay. There's somebody else's problem. But the other thing that's happening with these soul contracts is we're realizing something important, that sometimes our lesson is to learn to let go, that we can't be engaged in this battle for somebody else's soul or for the light for them, or we can't battle to change them or fix them, or even atone for something we think we've done, because everyone owns 50% of their karma. So you own half, the other person owns half. We always take responsibility for all of it and think it's all ours to change. And that creates so much distress and so much pain and so much limitation in our lives, because we spend a lifetime trying to fix someone or change someone or make up for something we think we've done when, yeah, we did it, but you know what? It was their job to get out of the way.
And I think it gets confused with love, because as you said, a lot of the soul contracts are very intimate relationships with family members. And there's this confusion about when you do something for yourself and when you do something that maybe is self-sacrificial for someone because you love them. But you can still love them a different way if you step out of the soul contract, although it may be from a greater distance.
I was going to say, sometimes with some people in your life, it truly is greater to, easier to love them from a distance. So we think that because they're family, and I talk about this when in my energy boundaries work, because they're family, somehow they're exempt. They have special needs, special considerations, they have special rules when they don't. And we do ourselves a huge disservice when we think, oh, we don't have karma with our family, or oh, that's not part, that they're not part of our karmic contracts. Yeah, they are. In fact, they are probably more involved in your karmic contracts than anybody else.
I was going to say, or we wouldn't be born to them if they weren't.
Exactly. So all of these family relationships that are ending I think it's fantastic. Because now they can, number one, if the other person wants to, they can be recreated on a different level that's not karma-based, where you're not in this massive struggle. Or you can move from these karmic relationships and your karmic family with this, like part of your biology, to energetic families, to families where you're tied by energy instead of karma and instead of these terrible obligations that can be so painfully difficult.
And I want to say, as a person who has released some of her soul contracts, there is so much relief and freedom, and it's like some part of your mind opens up that was on hold before. It's really an incredible feeling.
Well, think about like being, it's like being on the express lane in the freeway. So I used to live in Washington, D.C., and on the freeway there are these express lanes. And when you get on the express lane, first of all, it's only one lane wide, usually, and there's no exits. So once you get on the lane, it's like wherever it happens to exit is where you're going, and that is the exit. Or like I remember I used to live in Australia, and I always rode the bus because I could never master driving on the other side of the road. But I would take the express bus, and it literally made 3 stops, and my stop was the second one. And it would drive all through the city, and it would make 3 stops because it made those stops. So being in these karmic cycles with these people and these soul contracts is like being on that express lane. You can't leave until you decide, and you said it, I release this contract. So as soon as you say, I release this contract, I'm not participating in this anymore, it's done. It's over. Your part is over. Their part.
Okay, I'm going to tell them, folks, we are telling you how to get on the express lane for the soul. It's a great topic, and we'll have more in just a few minutes. We're talking with Jennifer Hoffman about the fast lane for the soul, letting go of soul contracts, and staying in a higher vibration. When we come back, Jennifer will tell us more.
Yeah, yippee skippy to that, baby. We're not done yet. Some of us are out here to educate and inspire. This year, 2020, is the year we gotta show me the money in the cash flow. I'm Dr. Pat. This is the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By.
Visit thedrpatshow.com.
The Truth is Funny. Shift Happens with Colette Marie Steffen is excited to welcome Karen Benton as a monthly guest host. Tune in on the third Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific Time to regain confidence and trust in your capacity to create change in your life, your health, your family, and your well-being. Karen Benton is a mother, nurse practitioner, certified body talk practitioner, Franklin Method instructor, and owner of Limitless Living LLC. For more information about Karen, visit KarenBenton.com. Is traditional medicine not working for you? Do you still feel as if your health isn't 100%? Here at the Holistic Medical Center, Dr. Nushin Darvish and the qualified staff look through the dimensions of wellness and start a healing plan prioritized to your needs. Our physicians assess the whole you until complete health is achieved. Get the help you need by visiting drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Do you sometimes feel overwhelmed by your mind? Powerless when it seems to spin in worry circles or bombard you with self-critical thoughts? Do you want to learn how to master your mind and feel more in control of your life? Listen to Dr. Friedman's Empowerment Radio. Shift from confusion to clarity, self-doubt to confidence, and from anxiety to peace and balance. Dr. Friedman and his many guest experts share the insights and tools you want to live with greater ease, joy, and purpose. Tune in to Empowerment Radio every first and third Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time.
Conscious Confidence Radio, a timeless wisdom with Sarah Main. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio and join Sarah on an adventurous journey to the deeper level of meaning to move beyond today's world of constant change, confusion, and uncertainty beyond the shadow of fear. This hit show explores key concepts such as confidence, values, and attitude in a dynamic way. To learn more about Sarah and her work, visit sarahmain.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin at OneTrueSelf.com, OneTrueSelf.com, and you're listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio, where you can experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. I'm talking with Jennifer Hoffman about raising our energy, getting through soul contracts, learning how to change how we feel about life and to make the most of it. So stay tuned in. It is great information. So, Jennifer, one of the things that you've talked about that is really important, and you've already addressed this once, but people sometimes need to hear this more than once. To some degree, we become accustomed to reliving the past, and that's karma. Our expectations and beliefs can actually hold repetitive circumstances in place. So tell us a little bit how we let go of that.
Well, first you have to be willing to let go of it. So and not see it as, well, I failed. I didn't get this person healed. You know, we're not walking off into the sunset holding hands and everyone sings Kumbaya. That's usually not how these karmic contracts end. They usually end, I want to say, badly, or in a very disappointing way, where you just have to acknowledge, okay, this person doesn't want to come with me, and it's not a loss. So in order for you to be able to release the contract, the way I teach forgiveness is I teach it as a process of completion and closure. So completion is first realizing you've done everything you can, and you probably have. But closure is literally being finished with something without regrets, without looking back, going, oh, if only, what if I had, hung on for 5 more days or 5 more weeks or 5 more years, that this would have changed, because it wouldn't. We have to acknowledge everyone's energetic sovereignty, and their energetic sovereignty allows them to look at you and go, yeah, I know what you're offering. Nah, I'm not interested. Even if you think it's the best thing in the world and you think their life is a total disaster, that's not your judgment to make, and that is a judgment. Thinking that somebody's life is a total mess is a judgment. Even if it is, it's their total mess and it's their life, and we need to start honoring other people's energetic sovereignty and stop judging them, because it just keeps us enmeshed in these karmic interchanges. And we can't leave because we think, oh, your life's a mess and it's my job to fix it, rather than going, oh, your life's a mess. Okay, that's what you choose. I'm over here enjoying my life, and I don't think my life is a mess. So when you decide you want to fix it, I'm happy to be a source of inspiration. So we have to be of service to the light and of service to humanity as empowered masters, rather than in service as what I call martyred healers, as servants. Instead of serving other people, we need to start being a source of inspiration when they decide they want to be inspired by that.
That's very well said. And so that gets rid of sort of that desperate feeling that sometimes I know that I've had in relationships of, it's not finished, we didn't go here, I wish I could help them, I don't know what to do. You're saying just bypass all of that and go into a state of you are what you are, and that's okay. Maybe it will work for you. Maybe you're learning lessons that you need.
Exactly. And we can't know what someone's lessons are. That's between them and Source. There's no way for us to know what somebody's lesson is, or that, maybe somebody who's really a bad person, like we're seeing that's going on in the world today, they're actually greater awakeners than the people who are really good and really nice and really helpful. It's like the riots we're seeing all over. It is waking people up in droves because they're looking at that going, I don't want this in my country. This isn't what I want. And, it's a greater awakener than people walking around going, oh, love thy neighbor, oh, be good. When you have rioters pounding down your door, it's like, oh, wait a minute, now it's personal. I don't want this. So,
I love how objective you're being about all the different energies in the world. I think that's most commendable and sets a great example for people. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. We can spend time judging, and I've done that too, but I also realized something that, the more negative an energy is, the more positive its outcome overall.
Right.
Because they're the greatest awakeners. So all these people who do bad things, they inspire people to wake up. They inspire people to take action. You can tell someone, it's like with your children. You can say, oh, when you feel like it, go clean your room. Well, when that's gonna happen. But if you tell them, why don't you clean your room and then we're gonna go like get an ice cream or to the park, or then I'll give you $5 or whatever. That room will get cleaned in 30 seconds.
Right.
Fires action.
Yeah, because there's motivation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, how are you seeing the current energies? I know we both look at astrology, so I'm curious about your outlook.
Well, the most significant thing about 2020 was January 12th, with the opening month when we had the very rare historic Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. So first I have to say this hasn't happened since the year 1516. So it's not something that we are ever going to see again in any of our lifetimes. It'll be another 20 generations before we see that kind of aspect. And here we have the power of Pluto, the great eliminator, and the power of Saturn, the great teacher, coming together in Capricorn, which is a sign of corporations and governments and public institutions. So is it any wonder that all of those right now, they're literally falling apart and crumbling, and we're seeing all the corruption and all the stuff that's going on? It's that has to be the most important aspect of this year, but also, I want to say, of this millennium. And what it's done is created what we call the Great Awakening, which is, something we hear everywhere. So everyone's talking about the Great Awakening. I was listening to the radio a few months ago, and I heard the radio announcer say, does that resonate with you? And I thought, oh my God, did I just hear that on the radio? Are people actually saying that out loud? You never would have heard that before. So what we're seeing, the significance of the energy here, so literally 3D is being, and I want to say, ripped apart. And you can see it all around you. And it's tough because we're living with a paradigm that has existed because humanity has been blind to it or not connected enough to do anything. We are literally seeing that paradigm being, ripped apart so you can see the innards, right in front of us. And so people can choose, what do you want? Is this what you want, or do you want something different? And, we live in a free will universe, so it has to be our will. We have to choose this paradigm. We have to decide for ourselves intentionally, yes, I want the 5D paradigm. I want to be in the light. I want to be in higher frequencies. We have to choose that deliberately and intentionally. And I'm seeing it all over. I'm seeing people literally, wake up in droves now, which is part of the reason why those of you who are very energy sensitive are having such a hard time with this particular period, especially the last 6 months have been hard. The last 2 years have been really tough, because when people awaken, what's the first thing they want? They want truth. They want light. They need energy. So we get bombarded with energy, which is far more than any of us can integrate. We get bombarded with this massive amount of energy that leads to what I call an energy hangover. So it's just like if you drink too much alcohol. So you take in a lot more energy than your body can process, because, again, we're energy containers. We are the source of the on Earth. We are the source of that energy. So it needs a place, it needs a container. Without us, the energy has nowhere to go. So we take in all that energy. Of course, it completely fries our circuits, and then it's available to everyone else. Meanwhile, we're dealing with the fallout of being completely, and this used to be a lot worse. It's a lot better than it used to be.
It is.
But we are like fried the next day or two, because we have just absorbed so much energy, but we needed to be there for the energy. And I think that's going to change, as we get closer to the end of this year. I don't think we're going to have it this bad, but it's been pretty bad for the last.
We did have 3 or 4 years of that in the 2000s, and then it balanced out and it felt really good. But now we're back to that getting zonked by the light again.
Yeah, I like the technical term zonk, but you're right. It's just like somebody hits you over the head with a sledgehammer, like, or you can't get out of bed, or you can't sleep at night, and then you want to sleep all day.
Right. And so for people who are having physical symptoms, this is what's going on for you. It won't last forever, but it's not easy. Sometimes if you just know why it's happening, that's helpful. I wanted to ask you, Mars is really important in our overall astrological chart for the next few months. What are your thoughts about taking inspired action? Where are some good places for people to put their intention with that?
Well, first of all, any inspired action or any intention has to be focused on you. So it has to be for you, for your life, for your own purposes. You can't set intentions for other people. But getting clear about what you want. So one of the downsides of living through these karmic cycles is that your life is very busy in being engaged in the karma. So when you take that away, it's like you lose your entire life focus. You lose basically what has been your life purpose for lifetimes. You lose that. It's completely gone. It's just like the same thing that happens when, you have children and you take care of them for 18, 19 years, and then all of a sudden they're like, bye, Mom, and they leave home.
Right.
And they call that empty nest syndrome. Well, there's a kind of empty nest syndrome that happens when you forget, when you lose your karma, when you end these karmic cycles. So you need to set intentions for kind of general things. Think of energies, joy, love, contentment, fulfillment, satisfaction. Set an intention to have clarity, but remember, clarity just makes things clear. So it lets you see what's going on. It doesn't give you any solutions. But if you set the intention, I want joy in my life today, in this moment. I want to be joyful in this moment. Then you focus your energy. You start giving it a direction to go, a place to go. And that will help you stay balanced and grounded. Also, breathing. I wrote this fabulous channel from Archangel Uriel that I've channeled since, 2003, called From One Breath to the Next. And literally our life exists in that space between our breaths. So if you can't take the next breath, you don't have anything to worry about. You're not going to be here anyway. So we have such a long event horizon for our life, like, next year, next month, next decade. We need to focus on the next breath. So taking a few moments, and you only need to do it for a few minutes, but taking a few minutes just to breathe, to take in a conscious breath, let out a breath very intentionally and consciously, really helps balance, ground, and center your energy. And that kind of brings you back to that center. Where's the present moment? It's the moment in which you're breathing. You don't have any other moment.
Right. It's that awareness. I love what you're saying. I noticed a couple weeks ago that if I thought about peace and I sent it to myself, and then I just imagined the peace getting larger and larger, I could not feel a lot of the dissension and negative energy in the world. So that was really interesting. I also found that people heal faster if I send peace first. And so for all of you who are listening, you might think about that. You know, what is peace for you? 100 of us think about it. It adds that vibration to the world.
So peace to you might be 10 minutes, just sit down with your feet up and have a cup of tea or take a 20-minute nap or, you know, or whatever. Remember, it's different for everybody. So what you think is, you know, it might be cleaning your closet. One of the things I wanted to mention is the one way to know when a lot of energy is moving is when you get the urge to clean and organize. As I've laughed with people on my Facebook page, you know, I'll go on social media, but I just reorganized my entire kitchen. I sort of heads up, energy's moving, because you do that. You just have this urge to clean things up, to reorganize, to move things, and that's how you are, you know, expressing this energy in your physical reality by fixing things, by moving things around. I reorganized my entire garage yesterday.
Right.
And I hadn't planned on it, but I'm in there, you know, after I mowed my yard, I'm in there, and I thought, you know, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I need to just, like, move all this stuff around and clean up this mess. And the next thing you know, I know, my whole garage is reorganized, and everything is neat and tidy. Like, oh, okay. Energy must be moving.
There's definitely a more organized energy right now than there has been in some time, I think. It does help for the sun to be in Virgo, but still.
Well, that's the integration piece. So we don't just bring in energy. We have to align with it, so we're getting lined up with it, but we have to integrate it. We have to have a place for it in our lives. And we have, you know, energy. We can't have competing energy and energetic frequencies in our life. We have to choose our frequency and vibration. So when you say, I want peace in my life, great, peace comes in, but everything that's not peace goes out.
It displaces the other vibrations.
Right, it has to.
For me, peace is often just not feeling the lower consciousness of the world and feeling the higher vibrations of 5D. You know, or listening to the birds or watching the plants. That's probably my idea of peace, but everyone does have a different idea of it. But any of those virtues or those states of mind that we're talking about, it's definitely worth playing with them for 5 minutes. And if you feel a big difference, then go back to that one. That's an easy way to do it. So I wanted to ask you a little bit, for people who want to create or deepen their relationship with angels or spirit guides, what do you recommend? I know your spirit guide just appeared.
Yeah, he appeared and kind of messed up my whole life plan, but I guess on some level I'd already done that. So I had my life, my intention for my life was I wanted to be the senior VP of IT in a Fortune 50 company. That was my big elevator speech career statement. And instead, Uriel came to me and said, you know, I want you to work with me. And at first I said, nah, you know, thank you, but I'm really honored and flattered. But find somebody who has prepared for this and actually really wants to do it. And that's not me. I didn't want to do it. I'd never even considered doing something like that. Although I've always been exceptionally intelligent, exceptionally intuitive. I've always had, you know, always talked to angels. I've had 3, you know, near-death experiences where I actually physically died 3 times already. And I was told that I had to come back because I wasn't, you know, I wasn't anywhere near done. So if you want to, you know, get closer to your angels and spirit guides, the first is to listen, you know, to ask and listen, but also realize they don't tell you what to do. They will answer your questions, but only when they're asked in the spirit of, you know, I need something to empower me rather than, you know, I'm helpless and hopeless. Please tell me what to do and get me out of here. I tried that. I spent 6 months asking, you know, God to please take me home because I thought my life was such a mess. I was never going to recover. And that's when I created my free all-expense-paid trip to France, which actually, as one very astute, at the time I had a radio show listener told me later, I was born in France. I grew up there, so technically France was actually home for me.
Oh, right. That's perfect. Yeah.
The universe has its own sense of humor. So, it's like your angels and guides are part of your partnership. They don't have more power over you. They don't have any power over you. They don't have more power than you do. You need to see yourself as the brave one. You're the one who's down here doing all the heavy lifting. They are your support staff. They are your support team. Their job is to support you, but they can't tell you what to do. You have to create that empowering, synergistic, co-creative relationship with them that says, okay, I'm here. I need help. I need guidance. I need assistance. Let's have a conversation. I envision talking to my guides and angels, like sitting around a conference room, having a meeting, and then we'd have a discussion, like, this is going on. What do you think? I need your help. I need your opinion. I talk to them that way because it keeps me out of that, oh, just tell me what to do. Oh, just help me. Or, that too airy-fairy kind of, that they're holy and you're not, and, you're subservient to them, because you're not. Like I said, you're the one who's doing the heavy lifting. You're here. They're not. But their job is to support you. And just to say this, they don't have anything more important to do than to support you and help you and to be, again, your support staff. They also help bring energy to you and help you with miracles. So when you set that intention for something you want in your life, their job is to kind of help to set things up to smooth the way. But if you're not paying attention, if you're not listening because you're too busy looking for the rescue boat, you're not seeing that they just sent you the helicopter.
And a good way for people who are on the rescue boat might be to ask your angels for energy so you no longer feel that you need so much help, but that you find the ability to help yourself. Because I do think angels are very good at shifting energies when you ask for help with that. Like if you say, I really want to do this, but I feel afraid. I don't want to feel afraid. I need courage. They'll send you courage.
Exactly.
So that's better than saying, I need X, Y, Z, because they're thinking, okay, you need X, Y, Z.
Right. Right. They have their own way of communicating in their own language, and they're very specific. So if you say, I'm fat, broken, tired, they will, continue to make you fat, broken, tired.
Right.
But it takes practice. I mean, you have to practice talking to your angels and guides, and they're not. Like I said, they're not there to rescue you. They're not there to tell you what to do or to control your life. They're there as guidance, and we have to use them that way. Just like I look at the GPS to figure out where I'm going or where I am. I don't let it drive my car.
Right. And I think that that's something that people tend not to understand, is that if they give us fifth dimensional energies or higher energies to help us in our life, that's not going to be like they're going to knock on the door and move you into a new house. You can ask for energy. You can ask to have different feelings about it or to do different things and have help with that. And then the other piece is what you said. You have to do it a lot. None of these things work unless you do them a lot. It is a practice. It's easy to say, I'm going to be positive and I'm going to talk to my angels every day. But part of that means catching yourself when you don't feel like doing it and catching yourself when you slip into negative thoughts.
Right. Or you slip into the fear and you go, oh, this is bad. And if you notice, once you step into the fear, it's like you've fallen head first in a bucket. It's like you just descend into the fear, and it can just get worse and worse and worse. And it's hard to pull yourself. I mean, you can find a lot of things to be afraid of. It's hard to pull yourself out of that and go, okay, well, I'm going to be positive instead. So let's find some good things. It is. Sometimes you just want to wallow in the fear, and that's okay as long as you really limit your time. But if you're a person who tends to be, very empathic, or you really feel the energies, then you need to stay away from that energy, because it will drag you down, and you won't. It's like getting caught in a whirlpool. It's going to be really hard to get yourself out, because now you're pulling on all those negative, fearful, timelines where the ascension failed, and what happened in Atlantis and what happened in Lemuria, and how the world, everything fell apart, and we're all going to hell in a handbasket, and before you know it, you're just wallowing in it, and it's like, what happened? And you've been in bed for 2 days.
Right, and that's such an important point of one more thing that we're going through is this discernment between 3D and 5D energies. If you're in a 3D energy that you resonate with, and we all have places that we resonate with and others that bother us or don't bother us or lift us up, you have to discern and get out of that place or get away from those people. And there's really not a choice of saying, I think I'll just try it a few more times and see what happens. No more. No more.
No, because it becomes less and less and less attractive. And it doesn't matter how much pressure you apply or how much you try to kind of join in that. It doesn't work anymore. It's like you look at it and you go, nah.
That's it. So I want to thank you so much, Jennifer, for being here with us today. For those of you who want to find out more about Jennifer Hoffman, you can see her fabulous material at enlighteninglife.com, and please sign up for her newsletter. You'll find them interesting and informative. You can also find out more by going to my website, onetrueself.com. And I would love to see you there. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening show, where you can experience a higher vibration in a new state of mind. Please join me on the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month at 12 noon Eastern, 11 Central, and 9 a.m. Pacific. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back here next time.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin, to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Join us next time as Julia takes us deeper into the memory of the moments of light where transcendence and enlightenment emerge. The memory of the jewel of consciousness is always lived within you, to tap into waves of energy and create huge changes by imagining the beauty of the vision and desires that are hidden in the heart. Learn to find your way back to nature, beauty, and your own heart, which holds the secrets of your existence and future. To discover more about Julia's adventures, animal communication, and the teachings she brings to every show, visit onetrueself.com. That's onetrueself.com. That's ONE, trueself.com.